yep, you should be playing Iron Banner. You should be checking that out. Maybe we should play together. Maybe we should do this on Xbox, but I'm not at the right level, so we probably won't.
Sure.
All right, so our last segment this week is talking about the community thoughts from last week. So last week we had a very spirited conversation talking about
just kind of
things we want to see in the Taken King now that we know more about what the Taken King is. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, we talked about the exotics that we want, and I wanted story, and we kind of covered off on that. And then we put the question out to you guys, what would you like to see? So this week we got a few answers. Let's start with Frosty Bobcat.
Lovely name.
His points were a new vast area with lots of loot and secret places. That sounds like the Dreadnought, where we're going to be going. They've already kind of said it's bigger than some of the areas on Venus. It's larger than the Cosmodrome.
What planet is the thing on?
It's on a giant ship in the sky.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he also said new exotics I can look forward to. I mean, that's almost a guarantee. So that's definitely a thing that all players are going to be looking for. And finally, he wants fair rights to everyone, not just PlayStation, but Xbox too. I want more. He doesn't want any more of that PlayStation exclusive crap. How do you feel about that? The fact that PlayStation gets everything for a year. So like this is a reset. Xbox and PlayStation are now going to be on an even playing field when September 15th hits. But now it starts all over again for another year, and PlayStation users are going to have exclusive stuff.
It's definitely bad for the consumer. It's just from the perspective of a platform holder, it makes a lot of sense because you're trying to entice people to come to that platform.
Yeah,
you're trying to give them reasons why they should be playing Destiny on PlayStation and not on Xbox. And I'm not saying that I don't think it's fair, and I don't agree with it, but being someone who has Hawkmoon, or being someone who, when I had to make the purchase decision, right, what platform am I getting Destiny on? It did work. It was the reason I got it on PlayStation.
Me too.
And it's unfortunate, right? Because if you're the person who owns the other platform, you're out waiting for a year.
Yeah, I would have bought it on Xbox had I had the parity option, you know? Because that's where everybody was going to play. That's where Ryan was going to play. That's where Alfredo was going to play, you know?
No, I guess we don't live in a world, too, where, like, you can... As Microsoft, you can turn to Activision and Bungie and say, well, we want our own exclusive stuff for a year. So imagine if PlayStation had its own exclusive stuff and then Xbox
had it. Oh, wow, that'd be cool.
I just feel like that.
Well, not cool, but that would have been better for Xbox.
Yeah, at least then, Xbox players wouldn't feel so left out with like, hey, I don't have certain strikes. Although you're not missing out on the strikes. Let me tell you, the PlayStation 4 exclusive strikes have been.
But the weapons, like Hawkmoon was really good.
A reason to, no, fair enough.
Fourth Horseman is pretty cool.
Yeah. It's an unfortunate reality of the business. Like it's a shame, Like I hear you.
They're clearly in bed with Sony. Like whatever Sony's offering them,
Sony paid for that. I wouldn't be surprised if Sony did not absolutely pay and pitch and say.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Sony paid for it, but I would not be surprised how many conversations led to. Yep. And look at, I mean, this is a side tangent, but PlayStation also has all the Call of Duty exclusive stuff right now as well.
Yeah.
And that took years.
The new home of Call of Duty. That's what they said during E3.
That took almost 10 years to happen, right?
That's a bold statement, just how it flipped. But I feel like people right now, people are slowly migrating back to Xbox, and Xbox is kind of like getting some steam. You know, they've made a lot of adjustments in the last year, and man, when they released that new UI, I'm very excited for that. Because the new one right now is so clunky.
Yeah, I need to
just
catch up
not
and
smooth.
see what that looks like. I have not, but I would definitely.
You're a Nintendo guy.
No, I play them all. I play them all. But yeah, I mostly talk about Nintendo. But anyway, Frosty Bobcat, I hear you, man. Like it sucks. But at the end of the day, it's sort of the reality of this business. And who knows, maybe if there is money changing hands involved, like some of that leads to that stuff getting made in the first place, which is why we talked about the Red Bull thing last week. And I'm like, hey, we don't know how much money got brought into this, that money helped make certain things for Destiny. Like, we don't know that. And I'd like to see more when we find out. Are you drinking more Red Bull, by the way?
No. Somebody sent me a code. I haven't even redeemed it yet.
Really?
Yeah, I need to, just so that we can capture the footage later. But yeah.
I can't believe I just asked you, are you drinking more Red Bull?
No way.
I'm sorry, Dustin.
Do you want to read Epic Ninja Cowboy?
Yeah, Epic Ninja Cowboy, nice name also, writes in and says what he wants. The ability to augment some weapons with elementals.
Wouldn't that be cool?
So he's talking more specifically like the burns, right? Like being able to like pick a weapon and say, I'm going to apply this burn to it.
Yeah, like you had materia in Final Fantasy VII, and you could switch those around, and it would have different elemental effects. Something like that would be really, really neat in Destiny, and I don't think that's an unreasonable request.
I wonder, like, that sounds like a cool experiment for the Taken King for sure, right? Because it's a way to
change how weapons work. What else we can? Yeah, right now we can randomly re-roll our weapons. And I don't know if I love that system. It's kind of cool, but it's kind of devalued every weapon in the game because there's no like Gallowhorn anymore.
Well, let me ask you this:
with the House of Wolves,
you play more PvP than I do because I can think about this and see the PvE implications to a degree. But would the ability to add an elemental to a weapon that didn't have one, would that shake the foundation or change an elemental property of a weapon? Would that shake the foundation of PvP?
Maybe not an elemental, but what if you could add poison like the Thorn to something?
Thorn users, I hate them.
Thorn is so good because you get those 3 hits and you know that guy's dead.
It's the only one that matters.
Basically, yeah.
No, you're right. All right.
He also talks about the same thing with. Sorry, Jose,
no. Go ahead, read that one.
Yeah. So he says the ability to augment some armor with elementals to provide element-based shields. Another really, really cool idea, like a Void Shield, an Arc Shield, or a Solar Shield. We see that when we fight the Cabal, when we fight the Fallen, they have elemental-based shields.
They do, but I think elemental-based shields should be tied to the class that you're rolling and not necessarily...
There is no elemental shield in the game right now for anybody.
No, I know, but you are running around as a Blade Dancer, and that is supposed to be your arc damage, correct?
You mean your subclass should be tied to your subclass?
Let me use the right vernacular, but you're right. Yeah. It's a subclass. Like, why isn't that the way to do this? If you switch between that and Golden Gun.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. But then your powers are tied to it also. But I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you're imbuing that character with that elemental property, with that ability anyway, as part of their super. Why wouldn't it make sense to then have a shield? But that said, I don't know how much does that rock the boat on PvP? How much does that rock the boat on PvE?
Yeah.
Like that. True. That's a hardcore change to ask. Whereas the weapon one, I think it could happen. That's just me thinking out loud. He also wrote about perks in multiplayer. For example, release some shanks to distract the enemy and control. Could even tie this to currently superfluous class gear.
That's
He's right in that class gear is mostly cosmetic and thereby superfluous, right? You just look like an almost fallen, but you're not quite a fallen.
Yeah.
But that said, the minute let's say you could release shanks to distract an enemy, how do you tell the difference between those shanks and yours? Like, one of my biggest problems with Halo 2...
Blue and green.
No.
Or red and blue, sorry.
Halo 2's campaign, when you switched over to the Arbiter, the biggest confusion point for me was I never knew who I was supposed to shoot.
I kept shooting him too.
Yeah, I shot my
teammates.
Yeah, all the time. Because I was like, I can't quite tell what's
I'd be like,
difference.
My reticle's green. I'm not supposed to shoot you.
Don't shoot him. Don't.
Yeah.
And obviously it's been more than a decade since. Yeah. Like, briefly more than a decade since then. But I do feel like that's a challenge.
Yeah, that'd be neat.
All right. So then, lastly, he writes interaction points, triggered events on multiplayer maps in general that aid one team if they reach them before the other.
Yeah, I think he just wants a little more diversity in multiplayer just in general. Like, just more going on. Because right now you run to a point, you stand on it, you shoot the other team. What if you had, like, explosions or levolutions?
Where's that?
Battlefield.
No, but what about, like, Razor Hail? I guess that's what the immediate example came
Something
to me,
like
right?
that,
Imagine you hit a switch and all of a sudden all over the map, like something, bad is
forcing
happening.
you to get into cover. I mean, that would be really interesting. I don't know how that could be implemented with the current engine. I feel like something that would have to be built from the ground up.
Yeah. This is Epic Ninja Cowboy came up with some epic asks for this thing.
Yeah, sure, Bungie, just go ahead and add that.
Just add this for me, please. Done. But that said, I think you do raise some interesting points. I just think that some of this stuff, like, I do want to see more interaction points on a. I don't know. In the back of my mind, I'm thinking of Splatoon and how there's a PvP mode in their ranked battle called Rainmaker.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And no one knows what it is. But part of me is wondering, do you hit a switch and it just rains a color? Like, what?
Or it probably neutralizes the zones.
Yeah, the colors that are on screen. I don't know. Anyway, that has nothing to do with Destiny. Sorry about that. All right, so you can read Brez for Prez.
Yeah, Brez for Prez. You talk about ghost skins. For example, a ghost skin that would allow you to scan for loot. I think that's a really good idea. Like, you run to Mars, you're running around, you have to run all over the map. What if you just pop out your ghost and you hit up on your D-pad and then it scans the whole area, and it's like, there's a chest here, there's Spirit Bloom here, go pick it up, instead of running around like doing the loot run, you know?
Yeah, and ghost skins in general are just like, does this game
That's
even
a
have
big
them
ad.
outside
No,
of
well,
the...
there's like one. There's a red one you can get, and then there's the default
at launch.
one.
Yeah, there was the one at launch. But
Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to point out here is that there is no way to really change what your ghost looks like.
And I think they haven't done that just because you never see your ghost ever.
Except when you're leaving the planet or summoning your sparrow or...
Yeah, you pop. So you see him for 5
opening
seconds.
a door,
you see him.
I could keep going. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, but you don't sit there looking at your ghost.
No, you don't.
You know, it's just a minor thing. I would rather see them work on skins for your bikes. Like, you got a bike you really like.
Yeah. Well, I think part of
cool.
what he's talking about too, maybe the skins or the fact that you don't see your ghost often, ties a little into this ask earlier about base shields. Maybe your ghost is part of the shield. Maybe that's who you give the elemental property to, and then that affects it. Right now, ghosts don't do anything. Is I guess the point I'm trying to make. Like,
I know what you're saying.
Outside of like seeing them,
and there's
every
all
once in a while.
those slots for ghost skins and stuff like that. You have
That's
all that inventory space. Let me put some weapons in there. You know, I need the space, man. I'm not using it for my ghosts.
Justin, I need the space. Liguri.
Yeah, that's right. Well, let me throw some guns or some armor in the vehicle slots.
Yep. No, that's fine.
I don't need my 15, bikes from the raid.
That's fair.
He also talks about environmental hazards. We kind of went over that already.
PvE or PvP?
Oh, probably both.
Okay.
I think he was talking about like you're running through PvE and then you get way down where you can't jump. You know, stuff like that.
Oh, kind of like running through the darkness in Crota.
Yeah. Those were some of the examples he gave.
Okay.
So, I mean, that'd be interesting. And then Sparrow upgrades and modifications. Yeah, let us tinker around with our Sparrows. Like, what's up with that? We can buy the stuff from Xur right now, the different cores that give us a different stream behind us and add some features. But for the most part, our bikes are pretty standard, and there's not a lot we can do with them.
Not a lot of personality on the bike.
Same thing with ships. Yeah. Like, they talked about ship schematics that you could get. I was like, oh, I'm going to get to customize a ship and build it. No, you get a schematic, you turn it in, and then you get a ship. It's dumb.
Yeah.
Like, it's a missed opportunity.
No, and especially in a game where you're trying to present people with like, hey, you are the driver behind all the customization. You become legend, whatever your tagline was. Like, you do want to give people the ability to have control over some of that stuff and come up with, okay, what are some trade-offs? Like, maybe this Sparrow is slower, but it can take more damage, or maybe this Sparrow is faster. I love the Vex Timebreaker, but there's nothing else like it in the game, and it's like, imagine.
Why would you want any other bike? Like maybe the one from Crota, but they're the same. Yeah.
But does it look like something from Crota? The bike from Crota?
Black, I think.
Okay. Well, well, there you go. Right there's the problem. Like, I do wish that some of that was in there. No, I hear that.
Speaking of ships, Link 3200 also said ship interactivity. Like, why can't I hang out on my ship with my crew and just have an area to do something?
Yeah.
You know.
One of my favorite questions from back when we had the first hands-on for Destiny. Remember, way back before this game came out, I flew out to Bungie, and my favorite question in the audience during the group Q&A was from a good friend of mine, Famitsu, who said, "Is there a place where you can hang out and just chill, or dance, like a space disco?"
Yeah,
is how he said it. And at the time, I was like,
"That's a tower."
That's a really but there isn't like, okay, there's that area where sometimes Xur shows up, like it's the closest thing to it, and they have that little Easter egg where you hit the button, the little cantina looking space. Yeah. But I think he was looking for something more like the first club in Mass Effect or something, right?
Oh,
where when you first get there,
it's
funny. Just all these flashing lights, and you almost want to break out the glow sticks. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there was some charm and some personality to that. There's some world building to that. That cantina space underneath the tower, like, I just don't feel it has. It's very subdued versus something like that.
Definitely.
Cool.
That's it, Jose. That's it for this week.
Wow, we did it. Another episode in the books. Oh, my God. And I was here. Where was Fran Mirabella?
He's on vacation.
Is he really?
Oh, we joked. Fran and I joked that I wouldn't even mention it, and then we didn't.
Oh, really?
Fran's on vacation. Fran, you're probably not listening to this because you're on vacation, but he'll be back soon.
Yeah. He probably listens to the show while he does his hair.
Probably.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. That is your episode of Fireteam Chat for the week of July 1st.
Check out our Facebook group. We have a Facebook group, Fireteam Chat, that you can join. Yeah. The link's in the article. I always feature my comment pointing to the article where you can get all of our links.
Yeah.
We also have a store where you can buy Fireteam Chat shirts.
Yeah.
Go.ign.com/store. And
I'm going to check this URL while
That's
you
what
keep
it
talking.
is. That's what it is. I looked it up for the show.
Okay.
You can verify.
Okay.
But our Fireteam Chat Facebook group leader bought one, and they look really good. Yes. They're really cool looking.
No, they are really cool looking.
If that's your thing, you can check it out. You don't have to. It's just letting you know about it.
And heads are gonna roll because every other show on this site has a shirt except Nintendo Voice Chat. I have a problem. You heard it here.
Yeah.
No, but more importantly,
that's it.
I do want to say to people at home, if you came out to IGN's house party this past weekend, thank you so much. Not just for coming, but you stopped us like dead wherever you can find us to talk about either the show or how you felt about Destiny.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so rad to meet so many people who really still like this game and who really have things to say about this game.
Yeah.
And I didn't mention this. At E3, someone actually walked by me and said, "You need to start Guardians out." And I was like, maybe.
That's funny.
But seriously, no, thank you so much for supporting us and for supporting our show. And as Destin said, you can check out our Facebook group.
Speaking of that, Lewis had a question for the show that we're going to hit next week.
Okay, what's the question?
No, next week.
Oh, next week?
Yeah.
Why you got to tease?
Well, so he knows that I didn't forget about him.
Okay, so Lewis, Destin has made big promises. Please let him know if he does not deliver. All right, well, there you have it, folks. That is your episode of Fireteam Chat for the week of July 1st. And
until next time, Guardians out.
There you go.
Come on, Jose.